So here's an interesting one. DEcap Attack. Again, Retron 5 review showing you how these games are running on the Retron 5. Original cartridges, emulation hardware. This is DEcap Attack for the Sega Genesis. And this is an interesting game in that it wasn't DEcap Attack in Japan. This was a Vic Tokai developed game. They're probably most known for Golgo 13, which was an amazing game on the NES. If you never played it, check it out as soon as possible. It's fascinating. The director of this was Toshihisa Hasegawa. And in Japan, this game was Magical Hat no Mo Batobi Tabo Daiboken. This almost has sort of like a Super Mario Brothers 2 / Doki Doki Panic vibe to it, where in Japan you played as, it was almost like almost like a Middle Eastern type of game, and then they replaced this in the United States. They decided to make it about monsters and stuff, which I don't know why they did that. There's never been a reason given for that, but the only thing I can think is maybe they thought Americans were scared of, let's get some more life, more hearts, literally hearts, I love that. And they thought Americans were terrified of Middle Easterns because, this came out in '91, so, maybe that's what happened. I don't know. It's weird as hell. There's my head. Or maybe they thought we loved mummies. I don't know. So first of all, this is not a great game. I'm going to say that right now. It's not a horrible game. But control-wise, there's things about it that just don't work very well. And one of the biggest problems is how slippery it is. I'm going to tell you... let me kill this respawning enemy first. I'm going to tell you when I let go of the D-pad, watch how long I slide. Now. Okay, well, respawning enemies makes it difficult. Let me try that again. And now. I mean, he walked almost completely to the other tree. That is just strange. Oh, I lost my head. But I've stared at this other head that, comes out of my guts. It's such a weird game, man. It's an interesting game. I remember I didn't have this as a kid growing up. I always wanted it because it looked cool as hell. I never rented it or anything because I don't think any rental places had it. We only had a couple of places. I like this guy right here, this little werewolf dude. He's pretty funny. Ghost. Of course you could. I like how you pound him into the ground. That's kind of cool. And what are these guys supposed to be? I mean, what the hell are they? They look so friendly, and yet they're not. Get some potions for stuff. Here's one of these things, which... let me get higher up on it, I guess. You know what? I'm just going to skip that. We're looking for some hearts. Oh. Got one back, I guess. It actually doesn't play that bad. It's got some interesting ideas. I think the idea of throwing your head and picking it back up is pretty cool. These enemies, I mean, they just... Look how quickly they respawn. They're just right there. And for some reason, if I were to compare this to something else, the closest I like Karnov. I don't know why this reminds me of Karnov. It's nothing like Karnov. Nothing like Karnov at all, but for some reason it reminds me of Karnov. It's an ugly game too. It just looks like a mess. It just doesn't even try to... Nothing about it really seems all that appealing. It's if you're a collector, it's actually not a bad game to have because it's kind of cheap. You don't see it that often. I think it could be a little bit more uncommon than people are giving it credit for. I'm not sure what it costs. I've seen it go for 20 bucks. I've seen it go for more than that. I don't even remember where I got it for. Usually I'm pretty good about remembering every game I got. I have no idea where I got this game from. But I doubt I paid more than 12 or 13 bucks for it. And it's kind of a weird game for Vic Tokai to have produced. They kind of had a style about them. I finally got my damn head back. Oh my god! And then he just—it's an old trick the developers do to die. Anytime there's a jump, make it to where an enemy comes so that they can intercept you when you're trying to jump. And again, Ninja Guide, one of the... Okay, this is going to be fun. One of the greatest games at doing that. Every time you need to make a jump, there it is. There's a monster to obliterate you. Oh my god, are you kidding me? This section actually exists. Okay, that was fine. I love how the arrows tell you which way you're going to. It's so helpful. Why the ghost is over here flashing. But this is a game back in the day. You wanted this game. I don't know why, but you did. You wanted it. And it's just not a good game. And I'm going to tell you right now, as far as... Okay, so... Let's see if we have any cool items. They don't tell you what these items are, so... Ask. Let's ask. How do we ask? Oh. Well, that's the end of that. Can I go this way? Nope. So this is one of those games where, yeah, you're probably not going to really play it much. But it could, you know, it could be pretty uncommon. You don't see a lot of people who have this game. You just don't, because there's really no good word of mouth on it, and there shouldn't be, because it's not a good game. It's playable. The thing is there's nothing broken about it. It plays really well. It's just... It's one of these games where you feel like the people who designed it weren't really much of gamers, because if they were, they would have made a game that was a lot more fun. And they just didn't. I don't know where to go. Can I go down here? Oh, I kind of go down here, I guess. It almost has, like, I mentioned Karnov, but I think probably a better comparison. Oh, I've become unraveled. Might be something like Bubsy the Bobcat, which is one of the most horrific games ever made. It is an absolute abomination. It's one I'm definitely going to have to do. I've got Bubsy. I've got 1 and 2 on the Genesis, and I've got Bubsy on the Super NES. It was actually a little bit better on the Super NES, which is kind of surprising because it's a very fast-paced game, and we were always under the impression that the Super Nintendo couldn't do stuff like that. But that's a game that really deserves to be dissected, because there's moments. Oh, get out of here, ghost asshole. There's moments in that game that are completely explainable, and you understand what was going on. So that's probably one I'll have to do soon. But this game kind of reminds me of that, where the gameplay just isn't fun, and it kind of gets in the way of itself. Like, you could have made it more fun, and you chose not to. It's gimmicky. Bubsy was gimmicky. I mean, Bubsy was trying to be Sonic the Hedgehog. The guy who created Bubsy said, in fact, that Sonic was his favorite game. He played it like 12 hours straight when it came out. It's unbelievable. And it's just one of those games that just... Some style, very little substance, very little. And gameplay mechanics that kind of make you believe they didn't really care about making a great game. And also the fact that you can't... I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could float. Is this the end of the level? Of course not. Oh, what the hell is this? A boss? Oh. Wish I had my damn head. You don't get your head... Oh my god, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Oh, what's he doing? He's chunking something at me. You don't get your head... Oh, I gotta hit this dude with my thing to hurt him. You don't get your head that often either, which I think is a... Ah, stop it. Which is kind of annoying. Look, he's like backwards. Like, usually a boss, when they get close to dying, they turn red. He goes the opposite way. He turns orange. He turns from red to orange. It makes me want to play Goggle 13 now, so that Vic Tokai can redeem themselves. Although that game had gameplay issues as well. Okay. Oh, are you kidding me? I'm not allowed to leave this level. I'm not allowed to leave the level. I mean, what does that tell you about developers who don't care about fun? That they're saying, no, you can't leave the goddamn level. Go back and find the stupid item that we've hidden in the level because we want to expand the length of the game. See, you can't get in those clouds. You get in these clouds, and did you see that? Did you see that? Can I do that again? Go back and watch that. I was like floating in midair and just like... Look at that. What is happening here? You see that? They need to patch this game. Call Vic Tokai and ask if we can get a 3 GB patch. Because this is an outrage. So DEcap Attack for the Sega Genesis. Not a masterpiece. I've reviewed some pretty cool games for the Sega Genesis. this is not one of the good ones. This game gets a very, I would say, very favorable 5.5 out of 10. For collectors, I think it's a game you should grab because it's got cool artwork, it's an obscure game, it's a weird game, it's the kind of game that you want in a collection. Collectability-wise, I mean, I'd give it a little bit higher. I'd say it might be an 8, actually. Even though it's right now it's still pretty common, but again, this was never a game that was sought after. I don't think they made a whole lot of these. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10,000 to be honest with you. Most of them are still out there because no one wants it. But again, collectively speaking, I give it about an 8, but if you're just going to play it, which you shouldn't, it's a 5.5. Avoid it at all costs.